The joy that comes with having a family is sure underrated. In challenging times, family support can make things seem easier. But in Bethany's case, it was the complete opposite. That Thursday, Bethany Ann Israel, who was pregnant, met her tragic end at the hands of no other person but her biological junior brother, Jack. Bethany was going to have a baby, and somehow, Jack wasn't looking forward to it. After growing worried from her not hearing from her daughter for some time, her mother walked in on a rather odd sight in her son's house. A pool of blood that she suspected was that of her daughter's. When the police reported to the scene, they discovered more blood and several dismembered body parts littered around the house. It turns out that Bethany had been butchered by her own brother. All Bethany Ann wanted was to have dinner with her kid brother, but instead, she ended up being murdered and dismembered. Jack even went around dropping the body parts of his sister on the doorsteps of some of the houses in the neighborhood. This is the disturbing, very disturbing case of Jack Joseph Ball. On the 11th of September 1993, husband Mark Edward Ball and wife Judy Ann Ball welcomed a baby girl in Minneapolis. The child was named Bethany Ann Ball, and she was the best thing that happened to her parents yet. Bethany was a star child. Her parents described her as a child no one could ever regret having. She was smart, bold, caring, and intelligent, and she loved everyone around her, even as she took her family as her highest priority. Growing up, Bethany Ann Ball attended First Baptist School in Rosemount, where she excelled both on the basketball court and in the volleyball arena. She was always on top of the class, and she often got good grades. With her exceptional love for sports and her studies, she attracted the love and attention of both teachers and her fellow students. Bethany was an all-round child, as she also loved music. She enjoyed it so much that she even developed a special love for the flute. Bethany was everyone's favorite child, both at home and in school. Her love for her favorite sport, volleyball, extended beyond the classroom and first school. She was exceptional in her training and in the games she played. She was so good that she coached the Hammerhead Club team in Rosemount and at Breck High School in Golden Valley. Her presence on the court was nothing short of angelic. She was always seen smiling, encouraging her teammates, and striving for excellence. Bethany's kindness and compassion touched everyone she encountered. One of Bethany's co-coaches who joined her while she was coaching the high school team, Amy Gustafson, confessed how well-spirited Bethany was. She said that Bethany had such a good way of connecting with athletes, having grace and patience with them as they learned a new skill. According to her, everyone that Bethany coached knew that they could go to her with anything because she always brought such good energy to the volleyball court. She never spoke negatively, always sought to help others, and wore a perpetual smile. Her light touched the kids she coached and the friends she played with, and even the newcomers she welcomed onto the court. Aside from just playing volleyball and being a great woman, Bethany had another strong passion, which was teaching. She loved it so much, hence her excellent coaching skills. As a young girl, she even pretended to teach her toys, foreshadowing her future as an educator. Bethany's passion for teaching led her to Hyles-Anderson College, where she excelled greatly. Records never showed bad results, whether in studies or personal behavior. After Hyles-Anderson College, she proceeded to Maranatha Baptist University, where she pursued her master's in teaching. She was intentional about her decisions, maintaining a balance between career, sport, and education. Bethany dedicated herself to shaping young minds, and back in her roots was where she started. She ensured that she left an impact at her first school, First Baptist. With love, patience, and a willing heart, she changed and reshaped the minds of the little ones growing up at First Baptist. Bethany Ann wasn't a lazy person. Everyone around her knew that quite well. She would often keep herself busy with things that would benefit others. When the pandemic struck, she chose to work alongside her sister, embracing her role as a bookkeeper and a saleswoman. This wasn't her field, but she also got nice recognition from everyone around, as she also excelled as a bookkeeper at Pioneer Industries International. Her journey took her from Texas to Rosemount, Minnesota, where she left an incredible mark on the community as well. Those who knew her said she touched the lives of many with her radiant spirit and unwavering kindness. She could be defined as a complete person, but she still had her last name as she was unmarried. A personality like hers is sure to draw the attention of men seeking to gain her attention. Soon, Bethany met the love of her life and her future husband at an Apple Valley Volleyball Open gym. To Bethany, meeting Josh was like finding the missing piece of her already beautiful world. She had the best parents, she loved her siblings, who she could swear loved her as much as she did them. Josh fitted perfectly with the type of man she wanted. He checked all her boxes, and they bonded immediately. Josh loved the idea of having Bethany all to himself. He needed a good woman to complete him, and when he saw, met, and dated Bethany, he knew he was ready to settle down with her, so he asked her to marry him. Bethany wasn't exactly ready because sources say she delayed her answer to the big question the initial time, but she wasn't about to lose a man she knew was a good and kind man, so she eventually said yes to his persistent pursuit. Their love blossomed and grew with each day that passed. They later got married in 2021. It was a dream come true for Bethany, whose full name is now Bethany Ann Israel, and her husband Josh. They even eloped to Jamaica during the height of the pandemic on April 30th, 2021. They were the dream couple, and people who knew them could confirm that their love was true. Bethany and Josh shared a love for traveling, escaping the cold Minnesota winters to explore other countries like Jamaica and Mexico. Although volleyball remained a constant in their lives, they also found acceptance and pleasure in other things like card games, board games, and even dancing, even though Bethany believed she wasn't particularly skilled at it. Things kept getting better for the couple as soon as they discovered that they were expecting their first child in 2024. How exciting it was for the whole family. Bethany was preparing to be a mom and Josh a dad. They really couldn't wait to be parents, as they always spoke about their future with their children. Together, they were handling maternity well and had even gone ahead to name the child. The couple had gone for a scan and discovered that the child Bethany was carrying was a boy. Filled with excitement, the expectant couple named their unborn son Levi. Family and friends excitedly anticipated the birth of Levi, except for one person, Bethany's younger brother, Jack. Jack Joseph Ball, the younger brother of Bethany, was born to the same mother and father on April 24, 2001. Although there is not much information available to the public about Jack's lifestyle and personal life, there are many speculations that he has a learning disability and is a mentally challenged person, although not to the degree most people think. It is alleged that the Rosemount police responded to a mental health call for Ball in 2022. Whether this is true or not, Jack didn't get any help for what might have been a problem to him, and unfortunately, it may or may not have become the reason for not just his arrest, but the death of his pregnant sister. It was May 23, 2024, and 18-week pregnant Bethany Ann Israel left home for her brother's house around 6 p.m. in the evening to have dinner with him and probably talk over something. But unfortunately, and unknown to her, that would be her very last dinner. A dinner that started at 6 p.m. had cut across time, and it was getting really late. Bethany's mom and other siblings couldn't help but worry. Before she left for her brother's place, and even when she arrived at Jack's place, she was in constant communication with her mom and siblings. But she stopped responding to her family's attempt to reach her sometime after she arrived at Jack's house. Bethany's mom couldn't keep up with the worry any longer. It was already 11 p.m., and it was strange for her daughter to shut off communication. She also knew that Bethany wasn't planning on spending the night there, and even if she had changed her mind at the last minute, she would have told her, so she went to her son's house to check on her daughter. But she was met with a rather odd scene. As she got to the front of her son's house, she saw Jack leaving the house in a hurry. He didn't speak to her or even acknowledge her presence. Instead, in her words, he just tore out of the house. She went on to look for Bethany inside the house, but was shocked when she couldn't find her. Instead, she found a pool of blood inside the house. Terrified and shocked, she thought of the worst. Where was her daughter, and why did Jack leave so quickly? And why is there a big pool of blood inside the house? Since she couldn't find Bethany and needed answers, she quickly called 911 and told the dispatcher that she believed her daughter was dead, inside a residence in the 17,000 block of Encina Path in Farmington, Minnesota. She gave them the address and added that the house is located about 23 miles south of Minneapolis. When police responded to the home along Encina Path, located in the area of Pilot Knob Road and 170th Street west on the border of Lakeville and Farmington, at about some minutes past 11, they found a large pool of blood on the kitchen floor under the sink and sink cabinet. The officers also found a bloody saw, a hatchet, and large bloody knives in the home. As they moved through the house looking for more clues, police officers saw a knife on the living room floor near the staircase. Searching further, they found several dismembered body parts around the house that they believed were the remains of Bethany Ann Israel. The officers immediately asked Bethany's mother about what she knew, why she was there, and where her son was. She explained that her daughter had met up with her son Jack for dinner, but she grew concerned when Bethany wasn't responding or communicating with her or her other siblings, so she came down to check on what was going on. She mentioned that she saw Jack storm out of the house when she arrived. On entering the house, she saw a sequential amount of blood, and that's why she called the police. She said she had not seen Bethany and still had not heard from her. Police officers immediately put out an alert for Jack's vehicle. Minutes later, the police received a 911 call from a Rosemount resident reporting that they saw a man through their security camera dropping what appeared to be a human body part on their front step. The police then began searching the entire neighborhood, and as they searched, they noticed a disturbing pattern. They found several dismembered body parts believed to be those of Bethany in front of people's houses. Apparently, Jack went on to not only kill his sister, who was pregnant with another human being, but also cut her into pieces and went from door to door, dropping her remains on the front steps of other people's houses. Police officers continued their search, and in no time, they found Jack's car parked in front of a neighboring home. As they searched the area, they found Jack in the backyard of the house where his car was parked. He was covered in blood, from his head to his shirt and pants. He had a slash wound to his throat, which turned out to be self-inflicted. The scene was really disturbing, and all anyone could think about at that point was that Jack wasn't normal. So they proceeded to ask him questions to ascertain if he was indeed suffering from a mental illness. But despite Jack's injuries, he was able to communicate with others correctly, even accurately telling them the date, time, and name of the current president. This meant that he wasn't mad or a lunatic who had no idea what he had just done. Jack Ball was arrested on the same day he killed his sister in Rosemount, about 5 miles northeast of the homicide scene, with a self-inflicted knife wound across his throat. Because of his self-inflicted throat wound, he was taken to the local hospital, Regents Hospital in St. Paul, for treatment, where he was kept under close supervision while police officers returned to his home and the crime scene for answers. During a further search of Jack's apartment, officers later found journals, personal journals, and other papers belonging to Jack Ball where he wrote down his deepest thoughts. In many of the notes, a very disturbing discovery was made. Jack stated that he was angry about the fact that his sister Bethany Ann Israel was pregnant and therefore no longer innocent. This was and still is confusing. What he meant by no longer innocent is still uncertain, but most people have derived their own definition of what it meant. She was legally married, so there was no reason to call her reason for not being pregnant not innocent. No matter what Jack might have thought and what reason he gave himself for carrying out such a disturbing act, the truth remained that Bethany was dead, and there was nothing anyone could do about it. The Hennepin County Medical Examiner's Office ruled Bethany's cause of death as complex homicidal violence. This basically means that she died at the hands of another, but it was uncertain what the main thing was that killed her. Whether it was blunt force trauma or strangulation, what is certain is that her death was a violent one at the hands of no other person than a younger brother she loved and cared for. She was between 17 and 18 weeks pregnant, so it was not just Bethany who died, but also the almost fully formed Levy in her womb who wasn't given the chance to breathe the earth's air. The allegations in this case are deeply disturbing and horrific. Words can't describe what our law enforcement partners encountered during the investigation, said Dakota County Attorney Kathy Kina. My office will work hard to ensure the victims receive justice and will provide the necessary support for the victim's family. But how will a family get justice for a family member from a member of that same family? According to Assistant Dakota County Attorney Stacy St. George, while the case was initially ruled as not premeditated, the entries in the journal proved otherwise. Stacy also mentioned how disturbing the murder was. Bethany was killed alongside her unborn child. How bad was it for her? She had to endure the pain she felt even for her child, Levy. The unborn child had to struggle for air when his mother died. Attorney Stacy told the court while asking for the high bail amount. What was then debated was the fact that the complaint stated that the murder was not premeditated, but the journal entries indicate that this may have actually been premeditated. Jack did kill his sister in a way that is still not known, but he didn't just kill her and dispose of her body. He went on to dismember it, cutting it down into different pieces. This might have been because he wanted an easier way to dispose of the body, but he made it seem even more premeditated as he stopped at different locations to dump the remains of his sister in different places in Dakota County. The incident is even more shocking because it appears that Bethany was the first person Jack killed. Usually, a killer tries severely before they can be mean enough to dismember the body of their victim. Jack Ball does not have a criminal history. Court records show that he had not been in trouble or reported to the police, and the criminal complaint did not note any mental illness issues in his past. However, Rosemount Police Chief Michael Dahlstrom said Ball used to live in Rosemount, and his department has had previous interactions with him. They even responded to a mental health call for Jack Ball in 2022. 23-year-old Jack Joseph Ball appeared in Dakota County District Court through video conferencing from Regions. He was accused of killing and dismembering his sister, 30-year-old Bethany Ann Israel of Bloomington, who was more than 4 months pregnant. Jack was charged on May 28, 2024, with 2 counts of second-degree murder in connection with the killings of his sister and her unborn child. Judge Bryce Ehrman set bail at $2 million without conditions or $1 million with conditions. After Jack Ball is medically cleared, police officials say he will be transferred to the Dakota County Jail. His next court appearance was set for June 10th in Hastings, and if convicted, which he most likely will be convicted of second-degree murder, he would face a maximum of 40 years in prison and 80 years for the 2 murders of both his sister, Bethany, and her unborn child. Following her death, Bethany Ann Israel was remembered as a cherished wife, daughter, sister, and expectant mother who was also a beloved figure in the volleyball community. Her death didn't only leave shock in the hearts of everybody who knew her, but also a broken heart that would definitely be very hard to heal. Joss Israel lost his wife, and ever since the news got to him, he has not been the same. Sources say he was hospitalized for a few days, and after he was released from the hospital, he has been struggling with facing the harsh reality of not just the passing of his wife, but also of the unborn child that was going to be his first child ever. A GoFundMe page was set up for Bethany's case and funeral arrangements. It is to help her poor husband, who is still struggling to put himself together in order to face his life ahead. The GoFundMe page has raised more than $30,000 and is still growing. People are supporting the entire family as they grieve a heavy loss, not just to them, but to the entire community. The GoFundMe page described Bethany as not just a cherished wife, but as an expectant mother who, with hope, longed for the coming of her baby boy, Levi. She loves her husband and prioritizes her family. It is so sad that everything isn't what it should be any longer. The GoFundMe page also read that her love for her life, her family, and the friendships she nurtured are the legacies she leaves behind. As a beacon of warmth and generosity, Bethany's absence leaves a void that cannot be filled. Everyone who knew Bethany and was close to her benefited from her loving nature in a way or two. It would have been the prayer for such a person to leave on and not only achieve more goals, but also keep inspiring the young generation that her son Levi and possibly other of her children would have been a part of. Even though nobody could have seen it coming, the Bethany Ann Israel case serves as a tragic reminder of the devastating consequences of domestic violence and the importance of addressing underlying issues. It highlights the need for increased awareness and support for victims of domestic abuse, especially during pregnancy. It also emphasizes the need for stronger laws and punishments for perpetrators of domestic violence and fetal homicide. With how active people are on the case, it serves as a reminder of the importance of community support and awareness. The case reminds us the value of human life and the importance of protecting the vulnerable. The case also covers the importance of mental health interventions and the devastating consequences of untreated or mishandled thoughts and objections. The investigation revealed that although Jack Ball didn't have a recorded history of mental health issues, it showed that he did need help mentally. Is it possible that there were signs and the signs were ignored? Why did it have to take until the end of another person's life to realize that Jack might not have been okay? The case has had a profound impact on Bethany Ann Israel's family and community and has raised important questions about how to prevent such tragedies in the future. It has also highlighted the need for increased awareness and education about domestic violence and mental health issues. The case of Jack Joseph Ball is indeed both disturbing and confusing. It is not normal for somebody to face such a cruel fate, especially at the hands of a loved one. But this was the ugly fate Bethany Ann Israel had to face. She was always cherished and loved because of her good deeds and excellent spirit. She did positively influence everyone she knew, and it is such a pity that it would not continue that way. But then, why will Jack intentionally kill his own sister in such a disturbing manner? All she wanted was to have dinner with her brother, but unfortunately, that innocent act was her biggest mistake, and it ended her life. While trials and sentencing are yet to begin, it is sure that Jack will not escape justice. And at the end of the day, he hurt his sister, family, and unborn nephew just to hurt himself. It's important to note that being extra cautious isn't a weakness, as it could save your life and even the lives of others. Jack may have been stopped and won't be able to hurt any other person in the future, but there might just be another Jack out there waiting to be discovered. So be sure to be as careful as you can. Thanks for watching to the end, guys. Please like, share, and subscribe to our channel, and we will see you in our next video. Bye.